Hello there. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm taking off the glasses. I'm gonna do this without being able to see. Ending a TV show the right way where everybody is satisfied might be one of the hardest things to do in modern TV media. And today, I'm talking about the shows that ended horribly and terribly. And let me preface this before we start. I want to say that the entire show doesn't become horrible because of a finale, but it does become a lot more diminished in value when you look at the series finale and how everything ties up all together. If it doesn't pack the punch that it deserves to, then the entire series just kind of falters and fan relationships just kind of dwindle as a result. Let me tell you about a golden apple, and that was the first few seasons of the Flash TV show that debuted on the CW. Oh my god, that shit was a masterpiece. Watching Barry Allen, played by Grant Gustin, there was drama, there was action, there was beautiful character development. It was the best thing that I've ever seen for the first 2 or 3 seasons of the show. So the show basically kicks off with Barry Allen watching his mom die as he's a kid, and that leads to this whole series of events that tie back into that specific moment. But what he does when he becomes older is he becomes a CSI, a forensic scientist. And in the process, he happens to get powers. And that's how he becomes the Flash. He falls into chemicals because a lightning bolt strikes down in the chemicals and he gets powers from it. The same thing happened to me when I got struck by lightning, but I just got fucking dumber. So didn't work for me. We get to see Cisco Ramon be the smartest person in the lab, helping Barry Allen solve crimes because Barry Allen, he has a mind that he can think faster than anybody else in the world. He can't figure out the most simple shit sometimes. So Cisco Ramon is there to help him, as well as his other friend scientist, Caitlin Snow. Then we have Joe, who's basically Barry's adoptive father after he lost, his mom. And Joe has a daughter named Iris, who Barry is in love with. But those two basically serve as his moral compass. They give him advice constantly. And it's beautiful to see because I feel like heroes, they don't really get the good advice that they need to be likable. But Barry Allen, specifically Grant Gustin, makes Barry Allen such a likable character throughout the series until you get to the later seasons of the show. Because they basically dumb Barry down and they make him do stupid shit that makes you get pissed off throughout the entirety of the show. Later on in the seasons, the writing just dwindled badly, the dialogue became poor. We get to see Barry Allen fight with lightsabers instead of actually using his speed in different ways, like punching people maybe. But it's interesting how Barry Allen basically becomes sidelined in his own show in the last few seasons of it. I assume because Grant Gustin was kind of getting tired, and I understand because the show did drag on longer than it needed to. I mean, you got Cecile, Joe's wife, having more screen time than Barry Allen in the last 2 seasons. Nobody wanted to see that. I'm sorry. The issue here is that the villains became almost laughably easy to beat. And on top of that, you got Barry Allen talking down a villain as opposed to throwing the ones and knocking him the fuck out. All he doing is talking to him, say, hey, you don't have to be bad. What you should do is be good. I know it's in your heart. If you can do it, you can save the world. So join me. Man, if you don't knock his teeth out, the villains of the first few seasons were genuinely terrifying to me. The Reverse Flash, we see him in a wheelchair training Barry, but he has a secret behind this wall. He's been orchestrating these events the entire time to get Barry to do exactly what he wants him to do. And it's just fun to watch. You can even see that earlier in the series. A lot of these actors wanted the series to basically conclude because they were kind of just getting tired and there wasn't really anything else left to tell. But no, if ratings are still decent enough for a company, they're gonna try to pump that profit as much as they can because the word of the day is greed. If they can make money off a franchise, they're gonna run that shit and milk it into the ground, as with everything they do. But the issue with the series finale is that it just had no stakes at all. Nobody got hurt and the villains were defeated way too easy. Okay, I understand Team Flash might be stronger now, but the villains should still put up an actual fight to where everybody's not defeating them in one single blow. That isn't entertaining to watch at all. You can't have a villain that's incredibly easy to beat. It just makes your entire show a waste of time. Like Stranger Things, for example, a show that ended terribly, but everything leading up to that point was pretty decent. The writing was good, the character relationships were good, everybody had a purpose, it all tied together beautifully, and it felt like it meant something. I do think that the show could have been a one-off like it was originally intended to be, but they kept going with the flow. Season 2 was decent, it was still pretty good. Season 3 it wasn't amazing. Season 4 less on a high note, and then season 5, I don't know what happened. The finale completely went to shit with that show. The Duffer Brothers just kind of didn't give a shit anymore because they have a deal with Paramount Plus is what I'm assuming. Because when you look at their footage that they've released themselves, they basically say, we don't really want to do what you're saying because our idea is better.
Kidding, she did. That's where I
don't know if we have to play it like that.
That is how we
I don't know if we have to play it
How
like
would
that.
we play it?
You can't spend years building up a show with incredible writing, incredible characters, and then all of a sudden you decide, I'm lazy. I'm tired. Can we wrap this shit up, man? The finale fight was just way too easy. You have Vecna built up throughout season 4. He's introduced. He's cool. He's scary. He goes into people's minds. He does everything that a villain would do. And everything leading up to the final moments of his death is actually pretty decent. Then in 1, 3, 4 minute CGI clip in a cold desert, they get their asses beat so fucking bad that people were so unsatisfied that they came up with the idea that there's gonna be a secret episode. And even now, I've just seen recently that people think there's gonna be a Stranger Things movie to even tie up more of the loose ends. But the issue is you lose a bunch of credibility when you don't put in love and care into the threads that you're crafting into a story. Like you don't put the threads together. It pisses off a bunch of people.
There have to be some monsters in the abyss.
I agree.
There has to be Demogorgon, bat, dog, like something. It's crazy if there's nothing there, I think.
But the one badass thing I liked about season 5 is how they didn't do the cheap ass thing and they made Vecna kind of, oh my god, you know, we can work together to defeat the Mind Flayer. I like how they made Vecna really hold on to that shit and say, no, I'm doing what I want to do. But my monologue is completely undermined with how easily he gets beaten. Vecna can go into people's minds and trick them. He should have known where everybody was. He should have known exactly what they were doing. He should have put up more of a fight. The funniest thing is that I see when actors they react to these shows themselves and they ask about the series finales that they have the reactions like, I don't know. Tune in. But it would have been nice if Stranger Things ended with more stakes, maybe main characters dying as opposed to just the main character, which is 11. I wish it would have been nice if it was, you know, maybe Jonathan, Steve. That would hit much more emotionally as opposed to watching her sister die, who was only in 1 episode in season 2. Now, the other series finale that I would say is kind of mids, probably Squid Game in season 3. This one left a lot of disdain in plenty of people's mouths. In the first season of Squid Games, the stakes are extremely high from the jump. This is another show I felt like could have ended after 1 season. Characters had so much emotional depth, you know, conflicts within themselves and other people that it made it more invigorating to watch from the jump. And it's hard to recreate that magic. So what can you do to actually make them feel like something new is being introduced? You add a baby into the mix. Duh, the hell? You put it in a fucking baby. A CGI baby that I felt no emotional connection to because it was CGI. If it was a real baby, I feel like most of us, we would have felt more connected to it. I'm sorry. This is the truth. You can't really feel connected to a goddamn pixel. In season 1, you feel like it's a satisfying conclusion because Ji-hun, he does win. He escapes out. You know, his friend sacrifices himself so Ji-hun can win. And he goes later on to get on a plane to go back towards his daughter. And then he abandons his entire plan and decides to go back and stick it to the man as opposed to take his win, mend his relationship with his daughter, and live life happily ever after. The reason why these characters, I would say, worked for the most part was because they were built up so much in season 2. Character 120, my favorite character out of season 2 and season 3. Yes, she did die, but she died at a cost. They actually use her emotional stakes to kill her off extremely early. Was I pissed off and sad? Yes, but it needed to happen in order to progress the story further in the right way. Then you have Ji-hyun, who basically does the exact same thing later on in the show to conclude it. He sacrifices himself so the baby could live because in reality, yes, they did blow up the area, but the Squid Game still continued. All the VIPs and everybody, even the front man, they all left unharmed. He basically offed himself. Even if it's the humans are, you know, horses, we aren't horses, humans are. Humans are goofy as hell because that was the dumbest mistake you could have made in that series. And then on the other hand, you have the entire cop brother storyline with In-ho and his brother, the policeman. The police guy tries to find his brother throughout the entirety of the series. But this time they have no interaction. All he does at the end is he just screams his brother's name. His brother looks at him and then he just goes down like he just finished concluding like a concert performance, holding the baby. He finds his brother. At what cost? I felt like it was just trying to be used to set up the potential for an American Squid Game. Then the entirety of the show was basically used to set up a franchise that should have ended after 1 season in the first place. That was just some of the shows that basically confused the hell out of me on how they ended kind of terribly. Let me know what your thoughts are, you know, how they ended. How did you like the way they ended? Subscribe to this channel. Like I said before, YouTube thinks that you will like this video, so if you don't click on it and watch it, I'm probably gonna cry and roll myself to sleep. So yeah, bye, peace.